Hey guys, what's going on? It's Hicks here and welcome back to another video. Today there's going to be a lot that we need to talk about as in Bungie's most recent This Week at Bungie. They gave us a whole bunch of information that's going to be coming out very soon with ShadowKeep. A lot of the Sandbox changes, which will take up most of the time in this video, but they also came out with some PvP changes as well, by taking out some of the old maps and putting in some new ones, as we will be talking about in this video. It could be a long one, so just sit back and relax. So first things first, with the PvP changes. They have tweaked around with the game modes to bring a couple changes to them. We'll go over some of the non-competitive side of PvP first. First of all, they are completely taking out quick play and competitive modes. They are now adding modes that are very similar. For example, instead of quick play, they are changing it to be called Classic Mix, which is basically quick play, but it includes Control, Clash, and Supremacy. In a separate game mode, they are going to be adding a single playlist, where if you just want to play 6v6 Control, you'll be able to do that under the 6v6 Control category. Another new addition that they are doing is a 6v6 and 4v4 rotating playlist, which will have game modes such as Clash, Supremacy, Mayhem, Lockdown, and Countdown. Another thing that they are doing, the streak system is also going to be changed, which I really love. Currently, if you go on a win streak in PvP or Gambit, after you reset your rank, your streak will completely go away. You'll have to build up that 5 streak again, but when ShadowKeep does release, after you do reset your rank, your streak will only go down by 1. So for example, if you're on a 5 streak and then you reset your Gambit or Valor rank, you'll only go down to a 4 streak, and then the next game that you win will go back up to 5. So you don't have to bring your streak back up to 5 again. The last thing about non-competitive is that now with heavy ammo will only be shared in 6v6 game modes. So now if your teammate picks up heavy and decides to go balls deep into enemy spawn, thinking that he can get that 7th column and then dies, and then the enemy team now has heavy ammo basically delivered to them, they won't be able to do that anymore. They won't be able to pick it up. Your team will only have a 7-second window to pick up that heavy ammo that your godly teammate has dropped on the ground. Same thing goes with the other team. If the enemy team decides to pick up heavy and then they go balls deep into your spawn, you won't be able to pick up that heavy, but they will have a 7-second window that they can pick up heavy. So I think that's a really, really nice change, because heavy has really been a problem this season, more than others, and I really enjoy this change. Now into the competitive side of things. Competitive is going to be replaced by a 3v3 survival mode, so there's not going to be any more 4v4 competitive playlists, and they will also have a solo queue playlist that will also award glory, so you don't have to go against 4 stacks all the time when you're playing competitive now. With changes to glory, they are also going to be pulling you where your expected rank is. So for example, if you tend to place around the 3300 glory rank every season, then you will tend to get more glory points to get you to that rank. Then after you do hit that rank, if you decide to go higher, for example, if you want to hit Legend this season, then your glory will normalize after you do pass that 3300 glory points that you tend to normalize in, which I think is pretty neat. Because if you do happen to hit Legend every season, then it'll be easier to get to that Legend rank. Is pretty sure what I'm saying. That's how I read it as. If you guys think it's read a little bit differently, let me know in the comment section. But that's how I'm pretty sure that is being placed as. And then the last thing about PvP is that some of the maps are actually getting removed to make way for some of the new maps that they are releasing. The maps that are getting removed are Dead Cliffs, Legion's Gulch, Retribution, and Solitude. I'm really happy that they're actually finally taking away Legion's Gulch, because it is absolutely the worst map that they have ever put in a Destiny game. But the other 3 maps were really good. Dead Cliffs I'm really sad to be seeing going, but I mean, they are adding new maps, 2 old Destiny maps, which are Widow's Court and Twilight Gap, and then 1 addition of a brand new map named Fragment, which seems to be placed in the Infinite Forest, which they'll finally get some use out of that area. But moving on from that, That is all for the PvP side of things, and now it is time for the PvE side, and we have a lot to cover on that. So let's get started with everything that is actually getting nerfed so that you don't leave this video sad with all the things that are getting nerfed, and we can end on a positive note with all the things that are getting buffed. So starting off with the first nerf is that with the top tree Night Stalker, when enemies are tethered together, the damage shared between them has been reduced from 100% to 50%, which is going to be interesting on how that works. And tether is really strong in PvE anyway, so I really don't mind this one. Next, for Spectral Blades, and this is a really big one, Flawless Execution, you know, that perk. When you're crouched and you get a headshot, you basically have wall hacks, and for what feels to be like a huge amount of time, that is actually getting nerfed. The time that you were invisible and had wall hacks was 9 seconds, but now it is getting reduced down into 3 seconds, which is actually an insane nerf. And to me, personally, I'm kind of glad that they're doing this because it was very strong, but it also sucks because One Eye Mask is still in the game, so Bungie, please nerf it. But also the melee damage you get with Flawless Execution will still last the entire 9 seconds. So even though your invisibility and your wall hacks are gone, your melee damage is still increased for the full 9 seconds. The next one is a huge one, and it has gotten a lot of people talking. It has stirred a lot of controversy around the Destiny community. But now with the Titan Rallycades in the Warlock's Lunification boots, no longer able to consistently keep spraying down your weapon into an enemy, a boss, a player, because now you have to reload in these supers, in these rifts, in these Rallycades, which is a very, very huge change. Personally, I don't mind this. I have made another video talking about this, so if you guys want to check that out, it'll be in the description below. But it's not all bad because you'll still be able to reload very fast, and we have to see how that works first. But you'll still be able to reload very fast with all these benefits that are going to be available. The next nerf that we have is the amount of super energy we will get from killing enemies. I will put that on the screen right now, and I'll just read off of them. It is pretty simple. You'll just get a reduction from these things that you do in game. So the super orbs that you now get will have a 50% reduction, bringing that down to about 7%. The masterwork orbs that you get from your gun are brought down to about 2.5%, which is another 50% reduction. The kills that you get on enemies are being brought down by 25%, so minors you'll get 0.6%, elite you'll get basically around 1%, the mini bosses you'll get 1.8%, bosses you'll get 3%, and players you will get 3% from that. So all those is how much super energy you'll get from killing these actual people in game. And now for the assists, so if you tend to put like one bullet into an enemy and then your teammate gets the kills, you will get 3% from a minor, around 0.5% from an elite, around 1% for a mini boss, 1.5% for a boss, and 1.5% for a player. And that is only for assists, which I think is still pretty good. The next change is the buff stacking. You'll no longer be able to stack buffs like how you currently can in this meta. Now it will take the highest damage buff that is current in what you're using and use that first. Then whatever the next highest buff is, when that wears out, the next highest is going to be in use, with the exception of perks such as Kill Clip, Rampage, or any other exotic that increases gun damage. Those will be stacked to whatever buffs are currently there. Buffs themselves also got nerfed, which will I put up on the screen right now. So for Frontal Assault, the bonus damage is now 20%, which was previously 25%. Sun Warrior was 25% and now it is 20%. Wall of Radiance was 35% and now it is 25%. And Weapon of Light was 25% and now it is 35%, which I think is pretty cool because no one really uses Weapons of Light, but I'm glad that they actually have that in there now. Now the enemy debuffs. For Shadow Shot, incoming PvE damage is now 30%, which was previously 35%. Incoming PvP damage is now 50%, which was previously 55%. And this no longer excludes power weapons, so power weapons will actually be able to benefit from Shadow Shot, which they weren't able to before. And now for Tractor Cannon, the incoming PvE damage is now 30% for all elements. Previously it was 33% for non-void and 50% for void. And then the incoming PvP damage is now 50% for all elements. Previously it was also 33% for non-void and 50% for void damage respectively. For Hammer Strike, or what some people know as Melting Point, the incoming PvE damage is now 30%, which was previously 50%, and the duration is increased from 6 to 10 seconds in PvE. And now the Shattering Strike, the incoming PvE damage is now 30%, which was previously 50%. The duration is now increased from 6 to 10 seconds in PvE. Now finally, for the last nerf, the nerf is to supers, which more importantly is to roaming supers. Most of them are getting a reduction in their damage resistance, which will make them easier to kill in their supers. So for example, Nova Warp, Thunder Crash, Blade Barrage, Nova Bomb, and Well of Radiance had a 54% damage increase to them, and now they will be reduced to a 49%. Hammer of Soul and Daybreak had a 56% damage resilience, and now they will be reduced into 51%. And now the Fist of Havoc, Burning Maul, Sentinel Shield, Arc Staff, Art Lightning, and Shadow Shot have been reduced to 53%, which they were previously 60%. And then some of the unchanged ones are Spectral Blade, Golden Gun, and Chaos Reach. Spectral Blade has a 52% damage resilience, Golden Gun has a 0%, and then Chaos Reach has a 40%. So that is actually it for all the nerfs. Now we can actually get into some of the good news after all those insane nerfs with the buffs. Night Stalker's smoke bombs that make teammates also go invisible will now give 1 stack of Heart of the Pack, which will grant a 34% bonus to armor, recovery, and agility, and also allow you to reload faster and give you more handling for your weapons. The invisible effect is now extended from 7 seconds to 8 seconds. The Provision, which was a perk for the Night Stalker, is being changed, which now damaging enemies reduces cooldown of your smoke bomb, and making allies invisible recharges your grenade. The old Provision perk, which is killing tethered enemies, creates orbs and increases agility, armor, and recovery for allies, is now a part of Quiver. And also with that, they are also adding killing tethered enemies grants stacked of Heart of the Pack, and also increasing Heart of the Pack range from 20 to 30 meters. Remember this is only for Quiver. These Shadow Shot supers, so not counting Spectral Blade, the damage of the actual shot is increased from 150 to 250 damage, which means that it is now a one-hit kill in PvP, which with Quiver is going to be absolutely insane. They are also increasing the accuracy of Tether, and the suppression on hit of the enemy is going to be more consistent. Moving on to the Sentinels. The top tree of Sentinels have also gotten a buff for their defensive strike, which have an overshield for nearby allies, now grant melee energy for the player with the shield. The Rallying Force, which melee kills heal nearby allies, got a 50% increase, so now the players get 10 health and 20 shield compared to 10 health and 10 shield that it was before. The Bubble Super for Titans also now increase health against supers, and now when using a super against the bubble, it won't always kill them, and the whole super will have to be used to destroy the bubble, which I think is actually pretty cool because not a lot of people use the Titan bubble, or as it's supposed to be called, the Ward of Dawn. So I think it'll be interesting to see how players actually incorporate this and use it to their advantage. Also, when now in your bubble or passing through it, it will grant you a Weapons of Light, which will give you a 35% damage increase on your weapons for 15 seconds. And as another gift, it'll poop out one more orb and give you more super energy for those orbs. Before, it only gave you around 4% of your super. Now I think it'll give you around what you're actually supposed to get when people drop orbs, not when getting orbs from Masterwork gun kills. So it'll probably be around like a 7%, anything that I said before. Now for the shield bash for sentinels, now suppresses the target and people that are standing very close to them. It has a range of 2 meters, so they literally have to be standing right next to the enemy that you do shield bash, and it'll suppress the people around them. For warlocks, the bottom tree Nova Bomb actually does more damage. The Nova Bomb now has a 15% increase on both when it hits the target and when people step into the lingering damage that the Nova Bomb leaves behind. And now for the final buff for Well of Radiance is that it grants 1 additional orb, and the orbs give you more super energy like how it does for the Ward of Dawn. Since they are nerfing Lunification Boots, I think Well of Radiance should get a buff because there still needs to be an incentive to use them. And that is all that I have for you guys today. This was a lot of Sandbox changes, and if you stuck out through the whole video, thank you so much. If you guys would like to support me, please consider leaving a sub and tell me what you think about these changes. I personally like them. I want to see how they play out. This is going to be a whole different set of things. It's going to be interesting to see how people work around these changes and new things that are going to come with them. But this has been your Hicks, guys, and I will catch you guys on the next video.